Well, hello there, everyone. Here we are on Saturday night, and it's so nice of you all to come back in, and we'll share some time together with music. And I'll see who we got out here. Oh, my brother, Frosh Baby. It's a private joke. You grew up, spending your whole life with a guy. It's my brother and Sherry, and my mom's out there. All my family from Florida and East Coast. I really miss you guys. Let's see, Dan Young. Great to see you, Rosie. Mark Perney. He's my greatest. It's. I was telling Mark the other day. I said a lot of people get attached to hairdressers. I get attached to piano tuners. It's kind of, you get a good piano tuner, man. It's like you follow them to to wherever they go. But yeah, he did a marvelous job on the piano, and I'm kind of getting spoiled, now that the piano's been in tune, and I've been doing so many of these live broadcasts. And I was just on YouTube on Thursday night, and that went really well. And it's a different platform, so of course I'm getting used to that. And so I'll be doing steady Thursdays, just so you know, if anyone wants to follow me here. We're going to be doing Thursdays at 7 p.m. on 7 p.m. on Mountain Standard Time on YouTube. And then I'm hoping to be doing Saturdays out here, 5 o'clock, so I can reach my East Coast peeps out there, so it's really great. I see Trisha here. She's the best. And my old friend Ed, happy birthday to you, man. Ed was at Berklee College of Music back when we were like kids. I was like 18, and Ed was in college, and we had a great time hanging and played show bands and all kinds of things together back when we were kids. And we could write a book. And I see Ben and Nabila are here, and I want to send a special hello to Jean. We love you, and my dear friend. And she's staying very safe, and we're, as everyone's home, and we're all here. And this is what better way to do it than be surrounded by music like this. I see my good friend Nicole Pesci out there, and it's so nice to see all these great players and great friends from afar, near and far. It's just so awesome. I'm doing different tunes all the time, and with it being I'm doing so much regularity in these, I'm trying not to repeat anything, so there's just so many tunes to be played. And hi, Nicole. And Nicole would know this. We know, a lot of tunes, and we could just go on. And but no one compares to this woman out there. You got to go see her, and she's just really something. We go back. I met Nicole. I can tell you this story. I was at playing. I just got here to the Phoenix area, and I was the house pianist at the Ritz-Carlton. And Nicole was working the tea service with great singer Jeffrey Hattrick, and we became very close friends. And since then, we got each other's back. I had the opportunity, the honor to sub for Nicole when she was doing My Florist, and now she's off all over the place doing things, and I utmost respect her. So whenever you can get a chance, go check her out. She's all over YouTube, so Nicole Pesci. So this is an opportunity for us to play original music and old tunes and everything. So I have a reputation of maybe, well, it can't be because I'm an old guy now, because I was playing all these tunes when I was a young kid. So I was playing Tenderly and, Weaver of Dreams and, Don't Blame Me and all these kind of wild tunes that back when I was 17, So that's the, so anyway, let's see what we got here. The first one is going to go out to my mom. I thought about you. There you have it. I thought about you, and again, it was just very. I was thinking of my mom. I think of her all the time. She's out there, and I was supposed to be there this week for her 92nd. So, happy birthday, Mom! Tomorrow, So, we want to wish my mom. She's doing really well. So it's so nice to be able to connect through family during this difficult time. Difficult time. Ed Bilecki, good seeing you, Ed, and. See what else we got coming through here. It's just wonderful place, to connect with friends near and far. Again, I'm just going to be playing all kinds of things. This next tune goes out. It's a place where I can kind of highlight and showcase a lot of my writing. And this next tune, well, I'll tell you about the tune in a second, but I want to first acknowledge this great microphone system in here. I'm very honored to be part of the Earthworks microphone company as an artist for the company, and it's an incredible, incredible microphone. This is one thing that I'll take with me wherever I go. And you'll see most of my videos on YouTube that I put up there are recorded with this great mic. So I'm out there, and they're the most wonderful people. Kim Hilton became a very close friend, and she's been with the company. It's like a small family, but they're internationally known. So it's really I feel very honored to be putting that out there. And then the first video you saw with the tune "My Romance," recorded with my trio out in California with Sinclair, Lott, and we had on drums and the great Roger Shew, who we lost a few years ago, in multitude of talent and wonderful human being. I always want to pay tribute to. Wonderful player and person he was, and that music captures it. We really had a great time. So this next tune I wrote most recently, it's called Silhouette. Hope you enjoy. That was a tune entitled Silhouette, and it's a really a great great opportunity to have a chance to share with you. I played it recently with the great Jerry Donato, great tenor player in Arizona here. We had a great time playing a lot of my original tunes. Looking out, seeing my friend Dave Landoni, great bass player. He's one of the cats around Boston, and fellow cycler. We've been kind of comparing notes. I did he's doing these crazy 40-mile rides. I'm doing 22, and I'm like, blowing a gasket. It's like, depends on the hills, though. Dave's, until I look at his elevation, he's got like 1,200 feet elevated. But anyway, that's the great thing about staying active. It's really one of those kind of things, being a musician. We're behind the piano a lot. So I've been very fortunate to always have this yearning for cardio. Somehow, I work really hard. At least an hour to two every day. So. And especially living up here in Cave Creek, where I can go into the hills, so I go way up in the secluded areas. So it's a great way to be in these isolated places right now when we're supposed to be keeping safe and letting this thing play out the way it's supposed to be. I see my sister in here, Steve Chavez. Great seeing you, Rusty. Oh yeah, man. These are all go back for a long time. Thank you all for coming in. Here's another really old tune, and this is a great thing, and bass players can understand where this comes from, because us piano players, we get so used to playing solo piano, so we play tune after tune, and we play all these tunes, and it's very rare when you get a bass player that you can just kind of throw anything at them, and they're right there for you in any key, and it's kind of freaky. I don't even know how they do it, but it's like, those are just, there's a bunch of you guys out there, and Dave's one of those. There's, of course, all the fine bass players we have here in Arizona. There's wonderful musicians out here. So for my East Coast friends, they all, I'm sure, are very familiar with the gang that's out here. There's a lot of great players, but I'm very blessed to be associated with some great bass players. So when I call these old tunes, like this next one called "Don't Blame Me," it's an old tune, and they're right on it, or if they're not on it, they're on it by the time they get to the bridge, or through the bridge, I should say. But it's one of those things that by playing these old tunes, it's really comforting to know you get the kind of skill behind it. But also, I'm going to be doing this regularly, and I'm letting all my friends know. And it's unfortunate that we have to have a world crisis to go into effect here for us to all kind of connect again. But I've had students from 45 years ago that I'm reconnecting with, old friends. It's just an immense opportunity here to connect with people. So use FaceTime, get on the phone, call those people that are close to you, and use this time to reconnect with people and kind of reinvent yourself. So I'm actually going to commit to doing this regularly now that I figured out the software end of it and the miking and all this dynamic. And I'll be coming to you regularly as a way to kind of stay connected. You kind of take things for granted until they're like, all of a sudden you're like, wow, we got all this craziness going on in our world. So you reach out what's most important, and that's our friends and family. So this next tune, "Don't Blame Me." Don't blame me. Again, this is for those that might not be that familiar with jazz piano. It's really it's one of the great art forms where you can actually play almost the same tune night after night and still do different things with it. It's such a blast, man. It's something that you never know what comes off your hand. And what marvels a lot of people that don't understand the genre, I tell them I couldn't even remember what the last last bar I played, because it comes off your hand for that second of time, and it really comes off and it's done. So that's what makes it really fresh. So you work night after night, and back in the day, I mean, I know these guys like Dave Landoni and a lot of the musicians around will all remember back in the day in the 70s and 80s, man, around Boston, we were playing all the time. I remember having 90 gigs in a row. I mean, like, I was the longest I ever went, like 3 whole months without having a night off. And, it just, those days seem to have come and gone, especially now, of course. But, I mean, prior to all this this world crisis, we were, gigs were becoming far fewer and far between, to find those really good ones, So back in the day, we were working all the time, and we play these tunes, and you sit behind the piano 6-7 nights a week, and you play these tunes, and you just become innovative with them sometimes. But I remember one of the things, and I mentioned it in one of the other broadcasts, when I studied with Harvey Diamond. I mean, remember I was with Harvey, and he did that Lenny Tristano stuff, and he had me for part of my lessons. Man, we were like, we'd have to sit down and have to sit there and play a tune for an hour, and that was like one of the crazy things, man. It was like you have to sit down and, as a young musician, you really try and use the whole piano. So I have all my students doing that too. We try to eventually use the whole piano, and those were the days, Dave. So all these, I'm sorry to be reminiscing too much, but it's like it's kind of reality settling in. But it's this is surely with the new technology and all. I just got a hold of a switcher. I'm getting a camera switcher, and I'm excited to get that going where I can run multiple cameras, which I do in my video teaching, but to do the live stream, it involves more equipment, of course. So I'm going to go to those measures, and soon you will see, maybe I can talk Jerry Donato or Chris Stewart to get different players in here. We can do duos, and I can maybe do a jazz trio in here. We can be really cool to stream this way too as well. So anyway, out here I see, send my love to Roz from Ed and Shauna. Good seeing you. Love you guys, Send my best to Chris and the gang. Chris Cinto, he's a great guy over at Paradise Valley College. Len Whitmore, just like the Eagle Mountain House. I used to play the Eagle Mountain House in Jackson, New Hampshire. The most beautiful, quaintest, I think it's an 85-room, old place right in the heart of Jackson, New Hampshire, this picturesque town. And I played piano there. It was really something. And it was just, it was something, man. It was just such good memories. But Len used to come all the time and hear me there, and also the White Mountain Hotel were my 2 steady gigs. I played for 11 years there, Dave says you learn most of the tunes by ear and the gigs, no music in sight. And you know what's interesting? This is interesting for the musicians out there. I remember playing with Chris Rathbun, who Dave knows really well. Chris is a wonderful bass player, and he's a really good friend. And what he used to do, man, is he used to get the singers, and he used to just listen to recordings of just singers singing the melody. And so he knew the tunes, and then he can just, he'd fall in. So it was just, I always wondered about that when I was young. I said, wow, you just listen to singers, you're not listening to Sonny Stitt or Charlie Parker. And of course he did that too, but he wanted to get the melody and the words. And I learned a lot about this when I just reconnected too with Karen Cameron, great singer. I worked with Karen back east at Affinity's Country Squire with Chris Rathbun. Ron McWhorter was on it as well. We'd have like a piano bass and it was a vocal, and it was such a nice gig. And tuxedo, sunken living room, beautiful place, and people would dance all night to all these old tunes. And I learned all these old tunes with Karen. Sleeping Bee, Nearness of You. I mean, all these old tunes, more than you know, and it just goes on and on. Chris is reminiscent here. Chris Rathbun gave Dave Landoni his first gig at this Bay Tower Room. It's sort of steady. Anyway, we're going to continue now with a really beautiful ballad, and I'll tell you a story about this afterwards. It's really, really a cool story. Okay, so it's called Emily. There you have it, Emily. And that was a tune. Oh, good seeing you, Bob Carey. Hey, man, good seeing you, too. And it's great to see Bob out there. Great singer, man. Great singer. I met, of course, Bob through my dad, and my dad was quite a good bass player for a guy that really wanted to do it, And I swear that, he used to follow me around, and he used to be so supportive of my music. He was a business executive, and we lost him last year, and great guy. Gave me a lot of support, and he was always there for me. And he was studying with John Neves at Berkeley. He'd go into Berkeley and have his lesson, and he was all into it. But whenever I'd come in from my lessons, when I was studying with Dick Odgren, back when I was 16, I'd come in, and we'd actually, we get to be really good friends with Dick and Jimmy Odgren, and who are really responsible for me being in this business. Dick was just the epitome, the ultimate piano teacher to inspire a young, striving guy that wanted to go into this business. But it was just wonderful to be able to connect with through Dick and through Jimmy, and and it really did wonders for my playing. It really did. I was like, going with this? I'm just losing my train of thought. It's funny, you get multitasking, you get all these you get sidetracked here when you're going into all these great things. Oh, so I was saying to my as far as my dad goes, my dad was doing the he was wonderful with the hold on a second. Emily. Yeah. Seema reminded me, we were talking about Emily, the story of Emily. That's where I knew I had something to touch on. Anyway, my dad was always supporting me growing up and everything, but this brings up the reason I wanted to get back to this is Emily. The tune, Emily, was it was one of those kind of, it was always a favorite jazz tune of mine. And those know me, I have 4 kids, so I have all these kids, and so I had 3 daughters, and of course my son comes in, and he's the he was supposed to be the Emily, because I thought that of course I was going to have just another daughter. So it was so Ryan is Ryan, Daniel is his middle name, so I didn't give him an Emily middle name, because he I thought for sure, Ryan, you were going to be Emily. But it was kind of cool, because even all the nurses on the when we had Ryan at the hospital in North Conway, New Hampshire, we all thought it was going to be a girl too, so it was kind of surprise. Get your boy, So anyway, he's a great kid, and he's 23 now, so great skier and great athlete, so a lot of fun. Okay, this next tune is another great tune that I played with a singer. Joan Watson Jones was a lot of people know her. She did Jones Jazz Jam, and it was when she featured all of the artists from New Hampshire and New England in general. And I met the great Tommy Gallant there at his show. She had me come in and featured me when I moved to New Hampshire. And when I went down to the show, I got to meet Les Harris Jr. On drums and John Hunter on bass, who turned out to be my trio there in New Hampshire for a good 11 years while I was in New Hampshire. So wonderful, wonderful players. But Joan sang this tune, and I think of her every time I play this thing. It's called Dream. That was Dream, and again, that was an old tune that I met when I was featured as a featured artist at the Joan Watson Jam. Good seeing Kurt coming in here. My screen has gone out on my so I'm hoping this is coming through. Is this coming through? It's I got a black screen, so I'm just talking to darkness. But I could see in my software, and that's the interesting thing through doing this streaming to get the right producer quality. You know, you really have to go into software and stuff to really to maximize the best sound and all. Anyway, this is going to be really an interesting one coming up here. We have another really great tune I love to play. It's called Tangerine. Hope you enjoy it. you have it. Tangerine. Danny Doyle. Maybe we'll get a chance to play it together sometime. And hey, thank you, Jimmy, for the kind words. Again, there's just so many people coming through, and I'll personally write back to everyone and say hi. I look forward to that after these things are done. So it's and I tell people it's almost like you're playing this giant piano bar, man. You know, you get like feels like it's 50 feet long, and you know people can text you, hello. So it's good seeing you, Jerry and Roz. So anyway, it's but the different thing is when you're doing a gig, you might have a lot of people come in, of course, to see you, but they're eating and stuff. And you never get this kind of like one-on-one, man. It's really really great seeing you, Jack. Hey, great hearing you today, Jack Coleman. Great B3 player, man. He was doing a thing with people. They were syncing tracks together. Someone sent a track into a guitar player, and it was really cool. A lot of cats are doing this stuff. I guess no one's really figured it. I guess there's a way to do it live, the whole live thing but because of the delay. So what great players are doing is they're getting tracks come and they're able to put it together, and it sounds quite good. So yeah, I enjoyed it before I went on and get a chance to hear Jack. He's great. Thank you for the support coming by. That was Tangerine, and just so many great tunes out there. And what's interesting, again, I say it often, as bass players will understand this. I go there with a set list, and I have all these tunes I'm going to do. I used to do it at Nello's jazz gig all the time, and Dwight Gillian would look at me and say, "Dan, you didn't play one gig, one tune from the set list." I'd go off and start playing all these other things, and I'm gonna continue with. Let's see. I got a couple ideas here. I'll think of it by the time I get to the piano. I'll tell you what it is. It's and I got a cool one. I'm gonna kind of end with a really old one. Okay. Okay, this was the that was goes out to my daughter Brooke, and this was again I was thinking of playing Spring Can Hang You Up the Most, and then what came out was Somewhere Out There. So it goes to show what goes on in a jazz musician's head. We kind of multitask, like right to the end. But anyway, this was my daughter Brooke was of all my four, she was the one that was like, all this singing all the time. She'd be singing at 2 years old and singing Blue and Sentimental, and she was singing these kind of deep words in her bed, before going to bed. She was like 3 years old, and it was and then she goes and she used to sing this sitting on my lap when the American Tale was out, of course, as piano players and all. I'm sure everyone can relate to this when you get kids. You play all these Aladdin and all these Disney tunes and everything, and it's like it's actually really cool music, and you can do some really cool things with it. So it's part of it's part of the jazz artistry. Some purists might look at it and look differently at it, but you could still go deep into it. And this goes back to a thing that I remember when I studied with the great Charlie Banakis. I remembered there was one student that was coming before me, and he was like, "Man, I don't want to go play in that top 40 band." And Charlie goes, "Hey, man, it's music. Make it." And I heard Charlie really giving him, telling him that, man, just be grateful you're able to, play a note in its music. So you make what you can out of it, and you bring the music into the genre. And that's a great thing with jazz artists. We can pretty much morph and conform to a lot of the different things out there. So anyway, I want to kind of wind down a little bit here with another great tune, and this reminds me of the great Dave McKenna, and Dave McKenna was kind of an idol for myself and my cousin Joe Delaney, great piano player. Go check him out down the Cape. He's just a monster, really. And but me and Joe used to go listen to Dave play, and Dave had this style of his own that he really owned and commanded. He worked with Tony Bennett. He's a house piano player at the Copley Plaza down in Boston, and he used to sit there, and he has this great style. But it's a cool tune called Sweet Lorraine. So I'm going to end with this. But what I want you to do when we leave tonight, this last tune, I put on this last clip here. You might have seen it if you've been with the other shows, but a phenomenal masterpiece piece of music by the great Ed Saindon called Humanity. And I'm playing piano, and I just did a video, Pensive Candle, and you'll hear this beautiful song. If you haven't heard it, you got to hear it. It's really a very pretty song, and I'm kind of, we're all in this head. It's because of what we're going through in the world today is what's prompted this, all us musicians extending our, we're out here wanting to just kind of bring love through music and connect people through music. And what better way to do it? Everyone's suffering from this. Sure, we lost all our gigs, we'll all come out the other side, but it's what's more important is that's what will start becoming very evident to all of us every day that we go through this. When we come out the other side, what really is very important to us is family and friends and connections, and this is a blessing, really. To me, it's really it was something that had to happen for me to be able to share my playing with everyone and stay connected to all my friends and make new friends now. I've made a lot of new friends since we've been doing this. It's only been like 8 or 9 shows, so I really want to thank you all for being part of it. So I'm going to end off with a cool tune, and if you ever have a chance, listen to the great Ed Saindon. He's not only a wonderful writer, but he's a great piano player, and he's a fantastic vibist. He's just he does this thing, and I call it like Dave McKenna. He's playing the vibes, and Dave Landoni will get it, and the bass players that dig it. He does this. Mark Carlson's a good friend of mine, and the bass player, but he does this like Dave McKenna thing with his mallets. He does a double mallet, so he does this. And he dampening, so it's almost like this plotting of what Dave does in the left hand. So I'll do a little bit of that in this Sweet Lorraine. So it's hard to copy Dave McKenna, but if anything, he gave me the inspiration to learn this tune, and I got a chance to play it with the great Dick Johnson, which was a real treat. And Dick we did this tune together. It was kind of fun. But hope you enjoy, and everyone make the best of your week. I'll be back here on the Facebook platform, just so you know, next Saturday at 5:00. And I'm hoping to I'll be on YouTube 7 p.m. on my YouTube channel, and so those are the 2 that I'm going to be working on right now. And everyone make the best of every day. Okay, God bless you all.